Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Stefano of Hideous Divinity to talk about LV426, out April 23rd on Century Media Records. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, man. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to talk about the upcoming EP, and thanks for the call.
Well, thanks for taking the time. So I really appreciate having you on and kind of picking your brain a little bit about how this whole EP came about. So let's actually start there. When did this concept start to brew within your minds?
It was, it all started with the date. It was kind of a joke at first because, of course, there's been no live shows, no touring whatsoever. So you might have noticed a lot of bands actually trying to, mess a little bit with the whole anniversary thing, the throwback like kind of trend. Because I mean, like even con-wise, there's not really much to, advertise or promote with for the fans, and you can't just push merch because like everyone is kind of dealing with their own like difficulties and all kind of stuff. So what's the most creative way to make sense of an important date for alien gigs as we are? So I think the date was December something. I don't actually remember, but it all started, like I said, as a joke. And Rico said we should like write a new song and post it online as a way to celebrate this fictional date that was, I think, mentioned in the movie in Aliens. So, and from that, the whole idea kind of developed into a full EP project. So that we started working on between December and January. So yeah, that was it.
Why Aliens 2 specifically? I mean, you guys could have gone into Aliens 1, Aliens. I mean, there's a lot of aliens to pick from.
There's a lot, dude. And
exactly. You guys could have taken a lot of different angles. I was surprised with Aliens 2 and Rebecca. Like,
yeah. You got it. Also, let me just say that the whole like franchise is massive. And there's been literally like, like wars online about which kind of movie is part of the two franchises, part of the canon. You know what I'm saying? So I think the reason why Rico, the guitar player Scatino, is also like the musical mastermind of the band. The reason why he wanted to pick Aliens is because I think is so action packed, but also like narratively really well structured, and also we wanted to focus on Rebecca. Like the story about this little girl like lost in the planet, kind of abandoned to herself, surrounded by monsters, kind of symbolizing the hand of childhood pretty much, and also kind of representing a metaphor from what, like, I think not just musicians but all artists, what they've been going through during this whole pandemic mess. And it all kind of felt a bit of a shattering of creativity and dreams. And so I think it was a nice and interesting way to focus on that kind of sub-narrative to try and convey like not just a musical message, but what we were actually like feeling like. And yeah, just aliens and the whole thing. I mean, it's the alien, come on.
So who doesn't like aliens?
Exactly. So it's so cool. It's original because I mean, if you think about it, I think it was the real first movie. I mean, when it came out, I think 1977 or 79, I don't remember, but like it was the real first sci-fi movie combining, like darkness, the coldness of outer space, but with a true sense of horror. So yeah.
Is it a challenge for you guys to put together a concept like this and then deliver it on an EP, different from like a regular EP, for example?
Right. That's a good question. Yes and no. because with the with the past albums, we definitely had a lot more, like room, space, and just to give a little more breadth to the very complex concept that we wanted to work around and develop with the extension, natural extension of an album. But with the EP, I think even like movie wise, we wanted to go a little more straightforward rather than just pick like some odd, weird, obscure horror movies like Videodrome, from Cronenberg, which I love, or Lost Highway, which they further combine with philosophical concepts. So for this one, we just wanted to have this like spontaneously packaged movie that suited our message, and also like this pace that we wanted to wanted it to fit into the music. So we had the opportunity to just have an EP and like deal with a part of the movie. That's why we chose to focus on the story of like Newt. And so yeah, it's a good thing what you asked, because at the same time it might be like, but there's not really too much room to go into depth of about what you would like to talk about in the like the story, the movie, and like extra characters, or the overall story, for example. But I think for what we wanted to say, 15, 17 minute worth of music was the perfect duration.
When you look at an EP and you look at a full-length album, the EP definitely gives you a little bit more freedom than a full-length album does, especially specifically when you're talking about a concept, because it allows you to be a little bit more creative. You don't have the same sort of boundaries that a full-length album restricts you on. But is this something that will kind of open up your taste buds and you will move it on to a full-length album perhaps in the future, maybe about something completely different? But did this kind of open the doors for you guys as far as the creativity is concerned, and pushing this into a more broader spectrum with a full-length record?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think so. I mean, like you said, an EP is always like the right instrument to kind of experiment a little bit creatively, not only like musically, like you were saying, story-wise, concept-wise. Because let's face it, when you have an album, you have pretty much between 9, 10, or 11 songs, and trying to fit like each of those songs, like lyric-wise, music-wise, within the story that we try to tell cinematically, because we always like chose a movie as a reference for the concept of an album. It's kind of a tough job because you have to structure it well, and that's why we always like blended the concept of a specific movie with, I don't know, like philosophical concepts. Like the last one, for example, it was about the idea, the notion of the simulacrum by Plato, which was reworked by Gilles Deleuze. So it was like mind-blowing. And yeah, exactly, with EP it was a lot easier. It kind of self-wrote in a way, if you know what I'm saying. And yeah, that could be maybe an approach for the for our future efforts. But I still think we're gonna be like movie oriented, and not just concept wise, but also like musically, because we like to try and recreate what we like to see. I mean, our music as a score for the story I would like to tell,
as a soundtrack almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, talking about the two brand new songs, Acheron and Chest Burst, I thought that Chest Burst, that song so well represented the title. I mean, if there's one song that the music and everything that's happening represents the title, that one is it. Because listening to it, I felt like something was coming out of my chest.
Dude, yeah. That's right.
It really created the audio visual effect as far as that track is concerned. When you look at these two new songs, what do you see as the main thing that they have in common between them?
Like I was saying before, I think the atmospheric, like cinematic approach with Acheron, that's, I think, kind of more prominent, because it's got the not the YouTube version, but like the studio version of the song. Like it's kind of got this intro, like with the beating of the drums, and also which is kind of meta quoted within the song, and but also Chessburst kind of has it. But I think, yeah, so that would be one thing to start with, and yeah, but like you said, Chessburst, it also like kind of, you know, musically mimic the title and the concept and the artwork. Like you said, I'm glad you noticed. You know, with the intro, with the filter intro, and then like the boom, like the start when the whole band kicks in and the vocals start screaming, you kind of feel like something is actually like pulling off of your chest, like at least sonically. So yeah, I think the vibe, like the atmospheric vibe, is the kind of the common thread between not just the two songs, but like the whole EP in general, I think.
So now we covered what keeps them together, or at least what do they have in common. What do you see as being the two main differences between those two tracks?
Well, I think I'll start with Chestburst. That the you know, like the last one we released. It's straight up like a death metal song, like so in your face, kind of a short like duration song, very formulaic in a way if you think about it. But with the Hideous trademark, like if you allow me to say so, so that would be a perfect live song. You know, like when people can easily headbang to. It's kind of got this really fast pace, but at the same time, it's not too complicated, like time signature wise, as Acheron is, for example, which is, I think, our suite, like our musical suite, very progressive, a lot of tempo changes, a lot of time signature changes, and it got this fluctuation between the melodic sections and the like I was saying, the dark atmospheric vibes, but also the black metalish kind of midsection, but it's also really melodic toward the end. And then we got this crescendo, you know, with the dissonant chords and all that kind of stuff. So it's really like musically speaking, like action packed compared to Chessburst, which is, you know, like it's still Hideous Divinity, but straight up, it's more of a straight up death metal song, if you ask me.
More direct.
Exactly.
Yeah, I felt that way too. I felt like one takes you more on a journey. It really feels like an introduction to a story. The other one is the action scene.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got it.
That's how it came across to me.
Yeah. I think it came across right.
Now, you guys are no strangers to covers, so I wasn't surprised that you threw in Delirium Trigger by Coheed and Cambria on this one. Why this option? Why this song?
Because, I mean, oddly enough, there's not really that many metal bands that dealt with aliens in terms of music. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of maybe post-rock bands or pop bands that actually kind of even marginally dealt with aliens, but there's never been a famous like a metal band or even underground, I would say, that I know of that covered alien subject-wise. So Coheed and Cambria kind of offered us the opportunity to, you know, play a cover, record a cover that kind of fit the narrative of the EP. So it wasn't just, okay, this EP is about aliens, so let's, I don't know, take a song from Rings of Saturn or Origin. I mean, there's plenty of bands out there that deal with space and aliens, all that kind of stuff, but we wanted to, you know, like stay focused on the aliens theme and being kind of faithful to the story. Mm-hmm. And Coheed and Cambria song not only just did that, you know, presented the right chance to do that, but also musically it kind of had the potential for our own rearrangement of the song and to try and make it sound as Hideous Divinity as possible, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. It also felt the whole atmosphere of what the two previous tracks were giving to the listener.
Yeah, exactly.
It feel like it's like kind of out of place. Like, what the hell is this song doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good thing that you sing, and we truly hope that be the case, because like we said, we just didn't want to have something. Okay, that's where EP like kind of ends, and this is where like something different kind of starts. So we just wanted to have something as organic as possible, and I'm glad you noticed that.
And staying with the theme of covers, is there any band outside of the metal genre that you guys kind of like talked about perhaps one day throwing a cover into one of the full-length albums, or in a future EP for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot of genres, and I don't think we like ever focused like specifically on a song that we'd like to cover. But I mean, the ultimate goal would be to take something that doesn't really have anything to do with metal and still try to make it sound as Hideous Divinity, or like has our own sound, and while kind of, you know, staying faithful to what the song was, or, you know, originally meant. And but yeah, that'd be interesting. I think I was kind of thinking about a song that I'd like to cover, but I can't remember the title right now. So yeah, maybe in the future we could throw like you know, a song that's not really metal but make it metal in the album.
Staying with the theme of horror and sci-fi, I'm assuming Aliens is perhaps your favorite one, but outside of the Aliens family, is there a movie that ranks really high for you and or for the guys in the band in general?
Oh yeah, I could give you like easily 4 or 5 titles. Stay in the horror sci-fi like realm. I would totally say Annihilation, which is a movie that I love. I think it's still on Netflix, and I read the book and the story. I watched like the movie 2 3 times, and it's sick. So that one, but also like kind of venturing a little bit far from the like sci-fi kind of feel, I would probably say Hereditary, Us, Get Out, and The Witch. So those are like pretty much the 4 or 5 horror movies that kind of really made a good impression on me for the last 5 years. Because, you know, it's not just about those scenes where, like, you know, you literally jump, you know, like the scare tactics of the whole like movie. It's about the story. It's about making you feel like uneasy like all the time, kind of agitated, but not really knowing what's going on. It's not about like just gore, which is sick. I mean, I also love the whole Hellraiser, Nightmare, like the classics, and the whole slasher movie era. But what I kind of look for in a horror movie is the kind of disturbance that doesn't really go even after the movie's over, that really makes you questions about like, okay, what did it just watch? What was that supposed to mean? Like the more subtle kind of, you know, scare thing.
I'm with you on that. I like the movies that kind of make you wonder and perhaps try to make you find a parallel between what you watch and life in general. Because sometimes there's a lesson there to be learned, or at least you try to find that lesson there.
Absolutely.
I think those are the best movies. Those are the ones that stay with you the longest. It's not just about the horror and the guts, and sometimes it's also about the anticipation of what's coming.
Yeah. Like I said, the kind of movie that makes you feel like super weird, like it kind of creeps you out, but you don't really know why. I mean, like, and when you feel that way, and you can even like explain why you actually feeling that way, I think that might be the consequence of you watching like a really successful like horror movie, at least from the narrative perspective.
Bringing the band and the movies into the conversation, I'll try to merge these two worlds. With Netflix being so predominant with great series, either sci-fi, horror, that sort of stuff, and the movies that are coming out, is there a series or a movie that you feel like if you were given the opportunity for Hideous Divinity to create the score for that specific movie or for that specific series, your sound would fit in like hand in glove?
Oh, you mean like a real one, like an existing one?
Yeah, like an existing one, and you guys would be hired to do the full-on score soundtrack for the movie. Do you see a series or an existing movie out there that you guys would fit perfectly with?
Maybe I would love us to fit. Maybe I would force the hand a little bit, but I would say Dark.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, I would say Dark because it's all about the atmosphere, and like nothing utterly scary really happens. You think about it, that's not too much action. I mean, there is, but it's not like gory or like utterly disgusting. So it's all about like those nuances, and I like the vibe, I like the atmosphere, and I love the whole paradox thing, which is tripping. But yeah, so I would love to be able like even to play just one song. And if you think about it, like there's been there was actually a metal cameo.
Yeah, there was Creator was on it.
Creator,
Yeah,
I think the first season,
yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't see why we couldn't do that. I mean, I do see why, because we're not as famous as Creator, and we're not a German band. But
it's interesting that you picked that show. I honestly, I feel like I only understood the show completely at the last minute of the last episode of the show, because my mind was racing the whole time with every single episode, every single season. It's
totally,
it's a show that really messes up with your brain.
Dude, I kind of, felt like I lost someone at the end of the season, and that I was so desperate, like trying to cling to the season, like feeling in between, wanting to have an extra season, but at the same time also being like, no, that's where it should end. And I'm with you on that, because that's when I was like, oh, okay, so I can finally wrap it up. But at the same time, it was also like a show which kind of gave you the feeling like the more you watch it, the less you understand. Well, because the first season you're like, oh, okay, it's about time travel.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so that's his father, but when he's younger. But then like the whole like paradoxes start like kind of overlapping, and that's where you're like, okay, the second season, that was it for me. I was like, okay, I need to take like notes while I watch the show, because that's not possible. But yeah, that's like, one of my
she's
favorite.
The mother and the daughter at the like it gets. Sometimes I had to go back and rewatch the episode, because by the end of the episode, I knew less than what I did when I started the episode. So,
dude, exactly. I think that there were even like characters that were themselves, but also their grandparent.
Yeah.
Their own grandparent was like, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, dude, I loved it.
Me too. One last question for you, and that is, when are you guys going to hit us with a full-length record?
I think we'll start like really, really writing for kind of soon. So, maybe entering the studio either toward the end of this year, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So probably like during the first half, we're gonna track the new album first half of next year. So maybe like late 2022, but not so sure, because we just want to take our time and think about like a cool concept, and also trying to understand what we want, like what we wanted to do as adults. Like, should we keep with toward the direction started with the EP, like music wise, or shall we exploit the black metal vein vibe kind of thing, or stay a little more faithful to death metal trends? So that's the kind of questions we will ask ourselves, and trying to answer in the form of a new album, maybe hopefully next year.
Well, it'll probably come right in time for the tours to get started again, so you guys can hit the road again.
Oh, dude, I hope so. I really hope so.
You probably don't even realize that, but you guys were one of the last bands that I saw live.
Dude, I think I saw you. It was in Toronto with Vader Abysmal Dawn, right?
Yeah. In Toronto.
Yeah.
You guys were like the second last show that I watched.
I knew you, like, I didn't know you personally. I knew you by, because of your videos and channel, but I think I didn't really know you personally. But I know, it was like, oh, that's Pedro.
Yeah, it was a great show. You guys put on such an amazing show.
Thanks, man.
And
yeah.
You guys brought the apocalypse with you.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I had so much fun. Yeah, exactly. Like, dude. Okay. So here's a funny story. I mean, not so funny with hindsight, but yeah. we played in Rome, like a hometown last year, right before the US tour with Vader Abysmal Dawn. And we hadn't played, like, weirdly enough, our hometown for like 5, 6, I think even 7 years. So our singers went on stage, were like, huh, so see you next time in 7 years, because that was the trend with our hometown. It was like, and I think like fate kind of took him a little bit too personally, like literally. So yeah, but so yeah, definitely hope to be back maybe next year. So I think a lot of I saw like a lot of tours happening right like in North America, like toward the end of this year already, and Europe should more or less fully able to go back to like the touring season, maybe between the end of the year or like beginning of the next one, also depending on how the whole vaccination process and campaign goes. But yeah, I'm willing to bet that 2022 is going to be the 1 year for tours to be back safely. So
yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm 100% sure that I think even some of the ones that are pushing towards the end of this year are going to
I need to think that way.
We need some light at the end of the tunnel, and just hoping that the light is not a train. That's
exactly, like another like big fucking train.
Whatever you guys do, don't say that I'll see you in 7 years, because I think you guys jinxed everybody.
No, yeah, we're probably gonna say next time we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. So just to like make sure,
or at least
just in case.
Just when you're done with the set, just say we'll see you at the merch table. You know what I mean?
Exactly, like even sooner.
That's even sooner. It's just right at the merch table. So
right there. Yeah, you're right.
Well, Stefano, thank you very much for your time today, man. This was an
thank you, Pedro.
Pleasure.
Like really,
I had a great time talking to you, man. This was great.
Same here. Thank you so much for your questions and your observation that were like really pertinent. And thank you so much for your time again.
No problem, man. Thank you. Take care. All the best.
You too, man. Thank you.